You are listening to Growing Up in America the Way It Is. This is a rebroadcast of our live episode, which airs every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central on 90.1 FM KPFT Pacifica Radio here in Houston, Texas.
Looking out a dirty old window, down below the cars in the city go rushing by. I sit here alone and I wonder why. Friday night and everyone's moving. I can feel the heat, but it's...
Welcome to Growing Up in America here on KPFT Pacifica Radio. Bob Sanborn here from Children at Risk. With me, Brian Greene from the Houston Food Bank. Brian, how you doing, man?
I feel really good, Bob. How are you?
Very good, very good. And Brian, we have a great list of guests coming up, but I wanted to ask you, you guys must have this huge sense of relief over at the food bank now that the government has on its way to reopening, and hopefully SNAP food stamps will be back in people's pockets.
Yeah, we are. That's why I'm feeling so good right now. I'm so glad the shutdown is over. That was horrible for the federal employees in the area and also the SNAP households. And it is nice to report that, it's fully up. To our knowledge, the paychecks are in, and Health and Human Service Commission in Texas kind of prepared well, and so they rewrote their software to be able to go in either direction. So the EBT cards were actually loaded the next day or the day after.
Excellent.
So they got right back on track pretty quickly. Now we're still dealing, of course, with the damage for those households. Yeah. You missed two paychecks, for instance. Well, you probably had to do things. You might have done the payday loan, which is a disaster thing for people to do. Yeah. You may have, the overcharge or overdraft charges if you had bills that were on auto pay.
Oh, wow.
And you weren't putting money in your account. Well, guess what happened? You get hit. So, there's financial hits, and there are a number of household of families that ended up being evicted.
Oh, no.
During this. Yeah. Especially the federal workers. That was not uncommon. There's like any other disaster, there's for some households, not most of them, for some households, there's long-term consequences. But it's sure good that it's over.
Yeah. And are we going to see any sort of, provided that Texas was so quick around this, are we going to see some lasting impact around hunger and food insecurity?
Well, for those households who were impacted, yes. I'm frankly a little bit more be worried about, just where our economy's going.
Yeah.
We're starting to get from the private sector. We don't have government figures now.
Right.
Really large levels of layoffs occurring. Wow. And you're seeing like hiring that would normally happen in the holidays, reports that the retailers are being very conservative in their hiring. So yeah, I don't feel good about what we're looking at in the coming months in the economy.
Potential rough waters ahead.
Yeah, and anyway, everybody, it hits everybody, but it hits lower income households the hardest for two reasons. One, they don't have the cushion,
right,
that a lot of households enjoy, and then two, the things like unemployment tends to hit lower wage jobs the hardest, and those are the reality of unemployment is it's bad if it happens to your neighbor. It's a disaster if it happens to you.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen to you, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
This could be very hard for a lower income household.
Well, send along our thanks and gratitude to all those that your team that you're working on this and doing your very best to help people and coming up with Thanksgiving. We talked about Thanksgiving, the potential at the very least. Now, I guess we have the SNAP program back in action, right? For
yes, although the changes that were in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act went into effect November 1st, and so there are a number of households in the area that have been removed from SNAP. So we have fewer households.
Just, trying to give us the bad news, Brian. So
and I will applaud again HHSC for they were continuing to take the SNAP applications during the shutdown. Of course, they weren't directly affected, but the reports that I've heard is there has been a reduction in households applying, and I think that was probably because of just misinformation of thinking, oh well, it's over, and I couldn't. Wouldn't do any good if I did. So that will impact.
Brian Greene is going to be with us all morning as our co-host this morning. I'm Bob Sanborn, President and CEO of Children at Risk. So the radio show today, Growing Up in America, is a production of Children at Risk, a nonprofit organization dedicated to research, public policy, law, and collaborative action on behalf of the youth of Texas. On our program today, I know we're going to have Hip Speak, Brian, which is your favorite segment. Bree Derry's going to be here.
I'm going to
quiz Brian.
Hope to get 100%.
You will get 0%. I will predict it now. Also, date of the day, the number 40%, which we'll guess a little bit about that. Our guest today, Megan Menchaca, is with us. She is the senior education reporter over the Houston Chronicle. We're going to do a couple of updates about what's going on in public education here in Houston. Also joining us today, Dr. Valerie Jackson. She is with Monarch Family Services. We're going to be talking a little bit about mental health. Nakia Douglas, who's the executive director up in Dallas at the Dallas Education Collective. We'll be talking about education up in the North Texas area. And then finally, Elizabeth Carlson, who's the deputy chief of schools with Yes Prep, focusing on elementary. We're going to talk a little bit about elementary and early education. We look forward to having Beth here with us. Right back, as we get back from the break, the quick musical break, we're going to be talking with Megan Menchaca, talking a little bit about education. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America.
Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then you begin to make it better.
A little Hey Jude. I told you I was up in Montreal. I was at the Paul McCartney concert in Montreal. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
That must have been neat.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
How's his voice doing?
Not so good. But, the crowd is so loud and he has a great backup band. But, you don't really hear it so much. But if you record a little bit of it, to like a little video of your favorite section of a song and you listen back, you think, well, his voice is a little wavering.
Well, you're not one of those guys who stands there with their phone up in the air the whole time, are you?
I do not.
Thank you.
I noticed that the first time I went to a U2 concert and the minute that the U2 came on stage, it's like everyone had their phones up and I'm like, you're not enjoying this, but it wasn't as bad as Paul McCartney. But there are plenty of people that do that. So that's what you do, right? When you go to your metal bands. So very good. Megan Menchaca is with us. She's with the Houston Chronicle. She's the senior education reporter over there. Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're so so grateful to have you on the air with us. So Megan, I know that you guys have been running a series of articles in collaboration with us on sort of the school ratings that Children at Risk has done. What's been the big surprise for you guys, for all the reporters that you guys have working on this? I mean, as you look at the ratings, any sort of analysis?
Yeah, I would honestly say the biggest surprise is that there's not much of a surprise.
Yeah.
Is schools are improving, and we've seen that in the TEA's numbers. We've seen that in Children at Risk numbers. After several years of struggling, after the COVID pandemic, and particularly after virtual and in-person instruction, which really did a damage to what students were able to learn during that time period.
Yeah. It does seem amazing to me. I wonder to you as well, right? That there's so much spin from the state government, certainly before vouchers, about how horrible our public schools are. And you and I both know there's still a lot of improvement that's needed. But the fact that schools are getting better, especially those that serve low-income kids, is sort of that message isn't out there very much, is it?
Yeah, I would not ever classify a school as horrible. I will say that the number of students who are meeting reading and math standards on the STAR is still far below what state leaders want, what education leaders want, what anyone you could poll
anyone wants.
wants. Those numbers still have a lot of room for improvement. So yes, the number of students who are passing those tests is improving, which is leading to better scores for these schools. But it's not 100%. It's not 90, 80, 70%. Yeah, I think it's close to half.
Yeah.
And that means half of students are not able to read. This is not even on grade level, not even able to pass these exams.
Still alarming. Brian?
Yeah. So It's a little early to tell, but the whole getting the phones out of the classrooms, or like it just, because supposedly, like, even if it's just sitting there that you can see it, it's enough of a distraction that it lowers your IQ.
Yeah.
Do we have any evidence that that's helping?
Yeah, I think this is still early since it's education data takes a long time to get back. I would say this is still the first year of these cell phone bans going into effect. We know that students initially, I think, were not very happy about not being able to use their cell phones all day. Um, but I think there's been broader research that it does help. Has helped educational outcomes in other cities, other states. And so Texas is expecting this law to improve outcomes, but we won't know that until we see STAR results come out, and those takes months to the results of those takes months to come out. And we won't also know if the STAR scores go up, was it because of the phones, or was it because of the lack of phones, or was it because of something else? It's really hard to draw a one-to-one comparison when every single school in the entire state of Texas is following the same law.
And Megan, when we look across the country at districts that have banned the phones, it's not like you see big, huge jumps immediately, is it?
I don't believe so.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
to me, it makes sense if students are focusing more on a teacher telling them how to do algebra or how to do biology versus looking at Instagram or TikTok, then it makes sense they're going to absorb more information.
Yeah.
But you still have to overcome that in the off-school hours, how much kids are doing these little 20-second dopamine bursts, and their brains getting shaped by that. That's got to be hurting.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Megan, about HISD. I know you see the district, you see some of the leaders there all the time. And how much of a parading around and celebrating is going on in regards to what they're doing?
I would say there's quite a lot of celebrating within the district about the STAR score improvements that they've seen, particularly at these what are called new education system schools, which are the schools that have been particularly targeted for reform. But I think I am going to make the same point that I was making a little earlier, in that no one knows for sure what the district is doing that is leading to these test score improvements.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the addition of team centers? Is it the addition of these timers? Or is it the fact that the school year starts 2 weeks earlier?
Mm-hmm.
And that means students are getting 2 more weeks of instruction in math and reading and algebra and biology, or that the district has implemented a science of reading curriculum, which has been shown across the country to help students understand how to read, which translates into improvements across the board. So it's hard to extract, the district is improving because of XYZ. HISD would point to the new education system as a whole. I would say it's not necessarily clear which variable is leading to improved scores, particularly in math and reading.
And one of the most controversial aspects of the change with the NES schools was, this standardized curriculum where the teachers, like developing their own curriculum. Me, I would think that'd be great. It's like, well, what works? But, the idea of that standardization is like, I assume that this is tested as to, okay, this is what is going to work. How is that looking in terms of the efficacy of, you figure out one system and everybody do that system rather than everybody kind of doing their own thing?
Yeah. What do you think, Megan?
Yeah. I think we've heard criticism and praise from both sides, which is probably no surprise, and that teachers like having they enjoy having the autonomy of being able to not only teach things in a certain way, but also be able to, if they feel like students maybe need more time on this subject, they can spend more time on that subject and less time on the subject that students maybe have already mastered. Also, I think we've heard complaints from parents of students acting sort of as surrogates for the students who say, like, my student's not enjoying the curriculum, my student is bored in class, my student is not interested in going to school anymore because they're not interested in taking all these worksheets. But on the other hand, as we were talking about earlier, the schools are seeing more students pass the STAR exam. So I think, to me, it's sort of like what the cost benefit analysis is. The district has decided that the curriculum ultimately is doing more good. But I will say also that NES as a whole is expensive. And the district needs to find a source of money, particularly if more people are saying, like, I don't enjoy the experience of this school, this curriculum, this reform system, I'm going to leave. That means they're effectively taking state funding from the district when they walk away. And that's a problem for HISD.
Megan, let me ask you one last question, and this is sort of brings it all around in HISD. I mean, you've been covering Superintendent Mike Miles and all the dissatisfaction and the villainy that people hold him into. I wonder, talk a little bit about his contract and the state renewing his contract and his board of managers, and what is that going to mean, as we come out of state control? Are we going to have to buy him out of the contract? And I think his hope, right, is that he stays put for a while. What's the reality there, do you think?
The board, so we have effectively another 2 years under the state takeover, and then another year where 3 trustees will transition onto the appointed boards. 3 appointed members leave, 3 elected trustees join. And those elected trustees are going to be the ones selected by the state education commissioner. So it's up to him what he'll decide, but I would expect he's going to pick people who are supportive of the direction that the district is going in. I think that's a pretty fair statement to make. So I think Mike Miles' contract has been renewed for 5 years. I think people should expect him to stay in his contract for the majority of that period, and expect what's been happening in HISD to be going on for a while. I think the trustees are looking at, ultimately, there's 2 issues, is like star scores and money. And HISD is on the right track with star scores and maybe needs a little help trying to get more funding. And to me, I think the only issue would be is if the district runs out of money to support the reforms, is that going to become a problem for the superintendent?
So at minimum, 3 more years.
Minimum, yes. I mean, assuming that the current trustees do not have a change of heart and decide to remove Mike Miles for some reason outlined in his contract, or if Mike Miles does something under his contract that would be grounds for removal if he opts to leave. Anything could happen. But I think that people should expect the superintendent to stay around.
Yeah, and I think even if those three decided based upon voter will that they're going to vote against it, they would still be in a minority for another year, right? So
yes, they would not have and I would, many of the elected trustees, I would say, if you said, should Mike Miles be removed, would you have renewed his contract, would say no.
Right.
But then they're not going to have the majority for at least another 3 years. So that sort of is a moot point.
So you'd see, Morath is likely to say, Commissioner Morath is much more likely to say, well, they may vote no, but who's most likely to work with, at least for the time being? So I think that's absolutely right. Megan Menchaca is with the Houston Chronicle. She is the senior education reporter. Megan, thank you so much for your insight and for being on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you next time. You're listening to Growing Up in America. Coming up next, we're going to do a little bit of hip speak with Bree Derry. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America.
Me at the
Brian, I know that you're a big fan of K-pop, and this is still one of your favorite songs, isn't it?
Wait a minute, that's not K-pop because it's in English. I thought K-pop was always in Korean.
No, it's not. So this is Rosie from Blackpink, K-pop.
Okay.
K-pop. Now, in this one, she's singing with Bruno Mars. And now I've given you everything that I know about pop culture, everything right there in that statement.
Well, I was really enjoying that song, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're coming around, Brian.
I'm not coming around. I mean, that was nice.
Yeah.
Catchy.
Well, it's the Bruno Mars part. Yeah. Probably really like that. So Bree Derry's with us. She is our hip speak expert and one of the producers of Growing Up in America. Bree, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I am so excited about our terms today. I've been consulting with the younger generation, and I feel very ready to stump y'all.
You know what, Bree? I was watching national news yesterday, and they had a story on 6-7. And I thought, wow, we are like way ahead of the curve. We talked about 6-7, a couple of weeks ago when Mandy was co-hosting with me, and how it was sort of sweeping certainly the Houston area. Do you know 6-7? So
I have deliberately not looked up what it was because it seems so silly for us to care.
It doesn't mean anything, which is the whole point, right? That's the whole point. It doesn't mean anything at all. Okay, what do you have for us today, Bree?
Okay, so the latest trend that we're seeing in the younger generation is called the quarter zip movement. In a sentence, you might say, I'm a quarter zip guy.
Wow, a quarter zip.
Oh, I'm very familiar. My wife gets on my case all the time when I forget to do my zipper up. Yeah.
This is a children's family program, Brian.
Well, I'm not.
Okay, I get you.
I see the connection, yeah.
So say the sentence again, Bree, for me, because I think I might have this. What is it, Bree?
So this full statement is, I'm a quarter zip guy, but used in the wild. Someone might, like their friends might invite them to McDonald's. And I would say, nah, I'm a quarter zip guy. Let's get Michelin instead. Or Michelin star restaurant.
See, I think it has to do with this shirt. I've seen this shirt on TikTok. It's a quarter zip. It means you're sort of fashionable. You're sort of bougie. You are not, I don't know. I am purely guessing.
I was buying it, Bob.
Yeah.
I was buying it.
Where am I, Bree, on this one?
I mean, you're right on the money, Dr. Bob. So it is the trend of wearing a quarter zip jacket, sweater. What do you call them? Sweaters.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a reflection of, like, you go from wearing your long zip up hoodie and being just like, young, for lack of a better word. I want to say hoodlum, but that's not what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But, just like someone who's just like running wild and free and super young. And then you put on your half zip sweater and you're suddenly this like refined taste, older gentleman, etc. It is all the rage on TikTok.
Wow. Brian is more of a sort of a pullover hoodie sort of guy. Wouldn't you say, Brian?
When it's cold. Yeah.
and I do not own a quarter zip, though. Maybe I should be moving that direction. So, all right, what's our next one, Bree?
All right, so the next one is keep it a buck. It's a little bit older, but I like it.
Keep it a buck. So I'm going to say a buck is like $1, and so keep it a little cheap. Keep it a little less expensive for me.
Oh, that sounds dead right. I think you nailed it.
What do you think? What is it, Bree?
See, I thought so too, and we're all wrong. So it is actually like, keep it straight up, keep it honest, keep it real, keep it 100. So you were just
a buck, 100,
and very straightforward with somebody.
So you want to put your fries in the bag and keep it a buck.
Exactly, Dr. Rob.
You're clocking now. Yeah.
Now I'm clocking. All righty. There we go. Okay. All right. Do you have one more for us, Bree?
I do, and it's 1.5 terms, actually. So the actual term I want to bring to you today is let's get sendy. And I almost didn't do this once. I was like, no, that can't be a good term for a children's program. But I'm going to ask it anyways.
Sendy. Let's get sendy. Like SENDY?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I'm reminded of Olivia Newton-John's song, Let's Get Physical,
So sendy. So like sending my love, I'm getting physical, like let's get sendy.
Nah, I think in communication, as in like, sending texts and stuff.
Oh, let's get sendy.
I just was reminded of the song.
Yeah. Oh,
because I'm old.
I don't remember that song. But okay, sendy, is it like communication wise?
No. But I love these guesses. Those were really good. So sendy is kind of a new version of let's go. So when you have like a young teen and they're just really excited and amped and they're like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. It's usually in relation to something big or bold and daring.
You're getting sendy. If you're getting bold and daring, you're getting a little sendy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel...
I like it.
You like it, Brian?
Yeah. That actually,
A little sendy?
Yeah.
So this is your life, Brian, right? You're getting sendy all the time.
Yeah, all the time. That's
That's very good. Bree Derry is our resident expert on hip speak. Thank you, Bree, very much. And we'll see you next time.
Always great to be here. Thanks so much.
We'll be right back after the break. We're going to talk with Dr. Valerie Jackson. She is with Monarch Family Services, talking a little bit about mental health. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America. back on Growing Up in America. Bob Sanborn along with Brian Greene. Brian is the head of the Houston Food Bank, and we are co-hosting this morning. Our next guest is Dr. Valerie Jackson. She is owner and operator of Monarch Family Services. Mental health is part of what they do over at Monarch. And Valerie, I wanted to ask you about, first off, welcome and good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're doing well. Thank you very much. So I know that you guys do a lot around kinship care. Explain to people what kinship care is for those that don't know.
Yes, sir. So, kinship care is when a relative or a someone that is familiar or have some type of relationship with the family, or it could be a neighbor, teacher, coach, anyone that the child is familiar with or has some or the family has a relationship with prior to the child being placed in foster care. And so it's actually a nuance to foster care in the sense that when one thinks of child welfare foster care, typically is that stranger that agrees
Yeah.
to bring in a child. But this is a now situation where a child can stay within their community, stay with familiar, responsible adults that can continue their care
Yeah.
around an environment that again that they are accustomed to, still have family connections and whatnot.
Yeah. So, and I know that you guys really focus a lot on this kinship model, which seems to be sort of the right direction. And Texas has gone this direction as well. Are there drawbacks to doing sort of kinship first rather than regular foster care? I guess there were some that might say regular foster care. There's some families that have a lot of experience with this as opposed to kinship, but it does seem to be that it seems to be the right move.
Yeah. Research supports that children thrive much thrive and become more stable
Yeah.
within a kinship setting rather
Yeah.
than a stranger foster care setting, which is, that it's anecdotally, of course, yeah, of course they would. But the misnomer is that children would thrive if they're with people that have more resources or that are away from the environment that they're accustomed to. But that is not supported by
Right.
research, nor children that have been compared from that were placed with kinship care opposed to not be or close placed in stranger foster care. So the research strongly supports the kinship care relationship being more where a child will stay within that home environment, typically until reunification with parent or permanency. And they also experience less moves, and they're more likely to thrive in the educational setting and have less mental health conditions than those children that go into traditional foster homes.
Yeah. Brian?
Hey, Dr. Valerie. I was just curious. You've mentioned some aspects, and I wonder what are the primary measurements that are used to determine the success of foster care?
Placement stability is one measure. So children that go into foster care for more than 3 years typically have been in 5 placements, opposed to those that are in kinship care, usually are in the same one that they're placed in,
Wow.
which is with the kinship caregiver. Also, permanency. Permanency is achieved within 2 years with a kinship caregiver. When in traditional foster care, specifically for Black males, they tend to age out and spend 7 or more years in placement with at least 10 moves, including a residential treatment center, once before they have exit out of the system. And so that is not the case in most kinship care, in majority of kinship care uh, situations.
Dr. Valerie Jackson is with Monarch Family Services. One last question, Dr. Jackson. I know that a lot would characterize the Texas foster care system as overall sort of not being that great, but this kinship part seems to be one of the sort of the bright spots. What are the things around our foster care system that sort of keep you up at night, Dr. Jackson?
The fact that right now, as we sit here, only 40% of the children that are in foster care are in kinship settings,
Mm,
despite the statistics research that supports that kinship care is a more promising placement. So only 40%. So that means that 60% of children in Texas right now are placed with strangers or they're in congregate care settings such as residential treatment centers, hospitals, are in therapeutic group homes. And so this is not, that, and again, many,
yeah.
many research supports the kinship care model, but it is extremely underutilized.
Yeah, one of the things I've said many times at press conferences is that when we look at sort of the failure of some of our kids that end up in human trafficking, kids that sort of end up disconnected, you could point to a failed foster care system. And it needs to be, kinship care is one of the resolutions here, but there are a number of things that we could be doing a lot better with at the state of Texas. Dr. Valerie Jackson, thank you so very much. I'm sorry we don't have as much time as I would like. We have to bring you back, Dr.
Yeah,
Jackson.
I have more questions. This is fascinating.
This is very good. Thank you so much for the work that you and your team do, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. We're going to be doing our doctor data segment. The number is 40%. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America. Chris Kalesa is with us. He's our Dr. Data. Dr. Kalesa is out of the Baker Institute at Rice University. And the number today, 40%. Do you have a guess, Brian? 40%?
Yeah, finally they got one that's relevant to me. That's the probability that my kids will remember something they're supposed to do tonight.
40%. Chris, how right or wrong is Brian Greene?
Wrong. So this
As
is
always.
coming up to the Thanksgiving holiday. This is the increase in wholesale turkey prices.
Wow. So turkey
So they're
prices
up
are actually
40%.
going up.
Well, for the consumer, they're going down. So they're about 25 cents per pound down versus last year. But for wholesalers, they end up being more expensive, largely due to avian flu.
Wow. So, Brian, you're a big food expert. How could prices be up wholesale, but then prices be down at the grocery store?
Yeah, it's one of the things that the general public doesn't know, but supermarkets during the holidays deliberately lose money on turkeys as a loss leader, so that you'll buy all the other things where they actually then make up that margin.
Wow. And so does that jive with your statistics, Dr. Data?
It does. So with that said, the average cost for Thanksgiving dinner for 10 people this year is going to be down from 2023. So it's going to be about $55.18 versus $61.17 in 2023.
Now, I know a lot was made about Walmart coming out and saying that, your grocery basket is cheaper, but they actually reduced the number of items. And so when you come up with your data, Dr. Kalesa, where are you seeing the measurement of one year to the next?
So I'm seeing a pretty consistent number of items. So this one is looking at items like the turkey, the cranberries, of course, the pie shells, the cube stuffing. This isn't just from Walmart. This is like a consistent number of items year per year.
Yeah. And how have tariffs...
Specifically, this is coming from the Farm Bureau.
Oh, okay. Very good. And how have tariffs affected food prices overall, Dr. Kalesa?
Well, tariffs have actually increased food prices, of course. And it was a little bit interesting, too, because President Trump recently said that there was going to be some big news about grocery prices coming down. And in reality, it was just him announcing that he was going to be reducing tariffs on a variety of items. which, of course, economically speaking, of course, you would see a reduction in prices if you reduce tariffs. So it was a problem that was created by federal policy in the first place. It wasn't actually some major innovation to reduce grocery prices.
And there's actually some logic to this because in general, the farms are struggling because we produce net food, not the other way around. So they're having trouble selling on the foreign markets. And so that actually creates downward pressure there, but it also will drive the farmers out of business.
Yeah.
So it would make sense. It's just certain commodities like the meats or things that we import like coffee, those are up significantly, and you probably don't have coffee factored into your Thanksgiving meal.
Right.
So you wouldn't see those impact, whereas other things like the grain products where we produce heavily, those are going to be cheaper now.
We used to be, well, we are one of the largest producers of soy, right, in the world, and China was our biggest customer. No longer, right? They've decided to not.
Yeah, there's actually a number of the commodities that Brazil has really benefited from our trade wars.
Yeah.
So as they just turn to another grower, and then that's just it's a permanent reduction for American farmers.
Chris, I may get to ask you this next week, but because we're here and we're talking about Thanksgiving, do you and your family have a favorite item on the Thanksgiving table?
Oh, actually, it's different between me and my wife. So I'm a big cranberry sauce fan.
Ah.
Yeah.
And she's Latina. She's like, what? Why do we have cranberry sauce? What's the deal with that? So
exactly. And I guess this comes from my Polish background. We like fruit.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know.
And what is Mariana? What does she like most?
So she ends up liking mashed potatoes, turkey, some of the more like traditional items overall.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, good for her.
And usually we go down to Brownsville and spend time with family there for Thanksgiving. So.
Well, I think also in some Latino families, there's a lot more sauce on the turkey, so you get less dry turkey. I think that's sort of a...
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the big old deals. So Chris Kulesa is our own Dr. Data. He's out at the Baker Institute at Rice University. Thank you, Chris, and we'll talk to you soon. All righty. Coming up after the quick break, Nakia Douglas will be with us. She's the executive director of the Dallas Education Collective. We're going to be talking about things that are going on up in Dallas. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America.
I'll get you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel all right. 'Cause I don't care too much for money, but money can buy me love. I'll give you all I've got to give if you say you love me too. I may not have a lot to give, but what I got, I'll give to you. I don't care too much for money, but money can buy me love, can buy me love. Everybody tells me so.
Brian Greene, we can't buy me love.
See, we got the new and the old. It's a nice mix on this show.
That's right. Nakia Douglas is with us. He is the executive director of the Dallas Education Collective up in North Texas. Nakia, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you all doing this morning?
We're doing terrific. Hey, for those that don't know about the Dallas Education Collective, give us a sort of the brief elevator speech, Nakia. What are you guys doing up there in regards to the Education Collective?
Yes, sir. Our mission is to significantly improve public education in areas of greatest need for the city of Dallas, specifically in our most underrepresented and under-resourced communities, South Dallas, Oak Cliff, and Pleasant Grove proper. We're looking to transform what public education looks like for them, but we're doing it from a community ecosystem perspective, where we're bringing everyone to the table to create solutions.
Now, one of the things that we've seen in the recent rankings that Children at Risk put out is that Dallas ISD, right? They're like working overtime to do the right things especially for low income families. We see some improvement there, significant improvement. But I'm going to guess you're with, and if you listened earlier in the program, we talked about it's not near enough in terms of where we're going in the state of Texas. Is that sort of what you guys are figuring it out?
That's exactly it. As a lifelong educator, I've always known and recognized not only the gaps in my education, but also of those kids and families that I've been privileged to serve over the years. And when we dive in deeper in regards to the scorecards that all kids receive, and we look at the literacy levels, that leaves a lot of work to be done. And we're not just talking about English language arts literacy, we're talking about math literacy as well. And so as we're preparing our children for a future that none of us can believe is happening as fast as it is, we have to push the status quo. We have to ask for more. We have to create better learning experiences for our kids to be successful.
And what would you say, thank you for joining us, by the way, is the biggest changes that need to be made, specific things that you're trying to push?
The biggest change that need to be made in regards to expectations, the expectations of higher performance, the expectations of even greater levels of excellence. When we think about just society in general, for those organizations and companies that were willing to prepare and pivot and rethink, their models, they've been successful. But for those that became stagnant and complacent, we saw that those companies started to fold. It's no different than what's happening within our education system as well. For those districts that have been innovative, for those districts, either public, private, or charter, that were willing to adapt and be more intentional in regards to personalizing educational experiences for kids, the kids are having greater outcomes versus those who haven't.
Yeah, when you look at the research, that's the key way you turn around a district, right, is that higher expectations. That's such a big thing. I mean, it's not the only thing, of course, as you know, Nakia. It's a whole recipe of things that need to change. What is the thing, Nakia, when you look at Dallas, right, and Dallas is different than Houston, is different than Austin, and is way different than cities outside of Texas. What is the unique sort of challenge that you face in Dallas that maybe other cities might not face?
Dallas has its own political stratosphere that
Yeah.
it doesn't exist in other cities. There are a lot of silos that we're having to break down. There are a lot of uh, lack of opportunities and or communication between those who have and those who don't. When we think about Dallas and every major metropolitan city, we look at the wealth gap that's increasing, and so there's a disconnect that's happening in regards to we want to have better outcomes for our citizens, but we're not willing to invest in that infrastructure. And the infrastructure we're talking about today is education.
Yeah.
If we're not willing to and recognize the importance of our teachers and educators within our public, private, and charter schools, we can't expect a different outcome. But when we invest, we know that we can have a better outcome for our students, our families, and our communities.
Nakia, both you and Dr. Bob are education experts. I'm not. So when you say the changing expectations is absolutely critical, I don't know what that specifically means. How do you change expectations? What's different when you've done that?
So when you talk about a 40% literacy rate that most school districts are experiencing and or are averaging, what's happening with that other 60%? When we talk about the gap in regards to our workforce preparedness for students, unfortunately, if you were to walk into most traditional schools, they're going to teach to a test, and unfortunately, that test is not preparing them for the workforce. That test is not preparing them to be truly college and career ready. And so when we talk about this gap that has been created, it's self-imposed because we have not made the proper investments in education to ensure that those gaps are filled. We haven't made the necessary choices at a legislative level to ensure that our schools are adequately funded. And so when we think about the challenges that we're facing as a nation, as a city, and more importantly, as a state, it's self-imposed challenges that we're facing.
Nakia, I want to ask you sort of one last question here before we have to go. And I know that you were one of the founders of the Barack Obama School, a male leadership school, which has done very, very well. When we look at the ratings, it continues to do quite well. But that brings me to the sort of the story of race in Dallas. And when you talk about race in Dallas, it's a different story than in San Antonio or than in Houston. And one of the things that I notice when I go up to Dallas is that if you want to talk about race in Dallas, it's a black and white thing, and yet the majority of kids are Latino. Talk a little bit about sort of that intersection and how also sort of the vision of Dallas is very different than the reality of what's happening.
That intersection is key because when we look at not only our city, but more importantly, as we're talking about education, that paradigm has shifted in regards to those that are of the greatest needs. And so Unfortunately, historically, when we still look at all rankings in regards to socioeconomic and areas, it's always within our historically underserved, minority-rich communities. And so when we think about how we have to pivot as a school district, as schools, as leaders, as city leaders, we have to be conscientious of those citizens that are there. And so when we talk about it from a race perspective, the haves will always be the haves in regards to how they have set their financial establishments up.
Yeah.
But if we want to truly bridge that gap, we have to be okay with being intentional with creating more programs and services for our kids in our neediest communities. When we talk about an ecosystem that we're looking to provide through the Dallas Education Collective, it's bringing all of those collective partners that exist within the lives of kids. We're recreating villages that have become siloed to help them remember that collectively we can change the lives of our kids, because it may be that we just need a partnership with the local ophthalmologist to provide glasses for kids, or it may be that we need a partnership with the local food bank to ensure that food families have food during the weekends. It is that intentional when we think about kids and families that are in the survival mode. Education may become second tier or third tier priority, because I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to make sure we have a roof over our head. I'm trying to make sure we have food in our stomachs before I even get to consider, is my kid prepared to go to school?
Nakia Douglas is the executive director of the Dallas Education Collective up in North Texas. Hey, thank you so much, Nakia, for the work that you and your team are doing. Thanks for being on Growing Up in America today.
Yes, sir. Thank you all so much for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. You're listening to Growing Up in America. We'll be right back here in just a quick minute. We'll be talking with Elizabeth Carlson, who's the Deputy Chief Student Schools Officer at Yes Prep, one of the charter schools here in Houston. We'll be right back here on Growing Up in America.
I swear it's calling me, won't make my mama proud. It's gonna cause a scene. She sees her baby girl, I know she's gonna scream. God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club. Oh mama, I'm just having fun on the stage in my heels. It's where I belong, down at the
All right, we have Beth Carlson with us. She's the Deputy Chief Schools Officer over at Yes Prep. Beth, how you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, and my best to all of your colleagues over there at Yes. So for those that don't know about Yes, I mean, you guys are one of the great success stories. I mean, since we've been doing school rankings at Children at Risk, Yes has always been in the top, and you serve low-income kids, low-income families. Talk a little bit about sort of what is different about what Yes is doing to what a regular ISD might do, and also what a different charter might do in a different state.
Hmm. You know, I was so impacted by what your previous guests talked about a belief, a strong belief in what kids deserve. And I think that our mission of empowering students to live lives of opportunity, and really working to ensure that all students have access to an excellent education is what drives our work, and is what sets Yes Prep apart.
Yeah. And talk to me a little bit, because I know you're focusing on early education and elementary. One of the things that we see is that foundation becomes so important. And Beth, I mean, you guys at Yes, I mean, the work that you're doing in elementary and early education, relatively new compared to sort of the history of Yes. Talk a little bit about sort of the impact that you guys are having.
Yeah, we have had elementary schools for only 6 years now. We opened our first elementary schools virtually during COVID. And I think the choice that families made seeking out opportunities for their kids has always really sat heavy with me, that responsibility that we have for families that choose us. And like, showing up virtually to a school you've never been to really just speaks to what all families want for their kids, and that's an excellent education. As we grow at our elementary schools, we're really seeking ways to accelerate kids so that they are on grade level, right? So that they are ready to tackle what opportunities come to them.
But one of the things that has always puzzled me when I look at like success stories like Yes, and say, well, you've got about a couple dozen schools in the Houston area. Why isn't it twice as many? What are the barriers to actually, doing this model at a larger scale?
Hmm. There's so much opportunity in Houston as populations grow, the diverse communities that are here, and launching elementary schools has really been an investment in intervening with kids earlier, right? Before Yes Prep started schools in sixth grade, and kids had a lot of ground to cover to kind of close those gaps. Um, but I would say one of our biggest challenges to scaling this initiative is Houston is a competitive market for certified teachers and especially bilingual educators. So recruiting really quality staff that are like mission aligned is one of our biggest challenges.
And talk a little bit about that sort of recruitment of teachers. We see teachers moving around, certainly out of HISD. I mean, how competitive in terms of price? What is it that a teacher would see at Yes Prep that would say, "Hey, I'm going to go over there instead of going out to Fort Bend"?
What I think a teacher will see at Yes Prep is an investment in their growth. Our leaders are really beside them in this work. And so, teaching is hard. Teaching is hard work and it's really rewarding work. And just like anything, you need a coach. And so our leaders actually we even use that word, call themselves coaches of teachers and are invested in making sure that every day we get better for kids.
I wanted to ask you a question about sort of the transition from elementary to middle school and to high school. I noticed that in the rankings this year, when we looked at our gold ribbon rankings at the middle school level, Yes had all the top spots. I think maybe the top 5 were all Yes Prep middle schools. And I'm wondering, it used to be before you guys launched elementary that you would have all these kids that would be coming into the 6th grade that would be really behind. Have we seen a big change now, Beth, that you guys have this elementary? And talk about some of the places where your elementaries have been around a little bit, the full 6 years, and what are we seeing in terms of that transition into middle school?
Yeah. So our model is that we open our schools only up to second grade. So even though we started this initiative 6 years ago, we're only just now seeing our first kids going to sixth grade, going to seventh grade. Those are in our north and very south communities. We just now even have our first seventh graders. But even in that short amount of time, we see our students being more prepared for achieving on grade level. We saw higher kids on STAR as one measure at Meets and Masters, but we also see those same kids that came through our system growing at higher rates. So not just achieving and staying stagnant, but growing to meet their potential.
It's my understanding, Beth, that as a charter, you're required to do a lottery for admissions. You can't do it based on achievement scores or anything. What's how many kids per slot join the lotteries?
That's absolutely correct. Yes Prep is a public charter, meaning there's a lottery. And the number of kids per school is a little bit different to meet the needs of that community. But our secondary model is approximately 150 kids per grade level.
No, if there's 150 kids can be in that grade level, how many kids apply or join the lottery to try and get one of those spots?
I wish I had that number for you today. We do have
Dr.
a wait
Bob,
list,
do you know
but
by
I
chance?
don't know it.
I think it's pretty high, though, Beth, right? I mean, I think at some of the high-performing charters like Yes and KIP, there's a significant list of kids that I know you guys do your darndest, but there's a lot of kids that want to get in.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
We
yeah.
do have a wait list for many of our campuses.
Yeah. It's sort of an interesting thing, Brian, and you brought up the whole idea of scaling up. And for a lot of the high performing charters, scaling up has not always been an easy thing, right? I mean, it's we see these high performing places, and to do a complete scale up, as what Beth said, with all the great teachers and so forth, it's a real challenge. And I think the other thing that's interesting, Beth, is right, like every neighborhood brings different challenges for your kids. And we see this with IDEA that did so well in the Valley, and then they come into a place like Houston and they don't do as well. It's like,
really?
It's a different sort of deal. And you guys found the same thing, Beth, right? As you did elementary and as you tried different neighborhoods.
100%. We actually launched our first school in the North Rankin area. It kind of borders with Aldine ISD. And we hadn't previously been in that neighborhood. And so the leaders of that school have really been investing in finding out what's different about that area. What are the needs of that community? And truly working to build trust with the families there, many of whom are disenfranchised with our education system, with their experiences, with our, with government and schools and infrastructures. And so really investing in where do our values overlap? And that's with your child and wanting to see them succeed.
In our final minute, we love to do some fun, fast questions for you, Beth. So very briefly, as a child, where did you grow up as a child? Where did you have Thanksgiving? And what was your favorite Thanksgiving dish as a kid?
My favorite place for Thanksgiving was my grandmother's house. I grew up in rural Alabama. And she used to make this, you remember the old like Cool Whip dishes? I don't even know what it's called. I love that. That is so nasty and I just love it.
Oh, wow. Did you have a favorite, Brian, favorite Thanksgiving dish as a kid? What was yours?
Well, all of it. I mean, with a turkey dressing, gravy, mashed potatoes, and deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs was, you love the deviled eggs.
Deviled egg.
And when you think back to your Thanksgiving childhood, your grandma was cooking the meal, and what was it? I mean, did you guys all sit around and do like a big old prayer? I mean, what was it about being at your grandma's house that was sort of unique and wonderful that you remember?
The thing about being in my grandmother's house was that everybody is welcome and everybody just felt loved. And I wish that for all of us in our homes this Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And did you have a dish that was made at Thanksgiving that you secretly tried not to put on your plate that you really didn't like?
Yeah. I had an aunt that put raisins on the sweet potatoes, and that's a hard no for me.
No, but you would eat raisins otherwise. Is that correct?
I would. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
But not in
the two shall never meet.
Yeah. Beth Carlson is the Deputy Chief Schools Officer at Yes Prep. Hey, Beth, thanks so much for being on the show. Say hi to Mark and the whole team over there for me. And we'll talk to you again real soon, Beth.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Alrighty, take care. That's it for us on Growing Up in America. Thank you, Brian Greene from the Houston Food Bank, for being here with us today.
It was a pleasure as always.
Very good. We'll see you next time here on Growing Up in America.
I hopped up the plane at LAX with a dream, my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in?